Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. You know, I'll be the first to admit that living in the city does have its conveniences. I mean, all my friends live here. There's a gas station or a restaurant on every corner. There's plenty of things to see and do and lots of good cell phone reception. But sometimes the frantic, fast-paced life of the city can leave a guy longing for the quiet, slower-paced lifestyle of the country. And for me, Southwest Oklahoma has just the ticket.
Well, today we're out here at Doc Hollis Lake on the Sandy Sanders Wildlife Management Area, and we are fly fishing for sunfish, mostly bluegill and red ear. I'm gonna catch a big one while you're throwing him back.
There you go.
Oh, let it go. And I'm in the tree. You got the heavy hook set on him.
Yeah. Just on a little purple pheasant-tailed nymph off a grasshopper imitation, just dropping down below it.
So you got two flies on there?
Yes.
And the top one floats, is that right?
Yeah, foam fly on top, drop something small down below it.
You're clearly better at this than me, Austin.
Nah.
Why fly fishing out here and not just a regular spinning rod and reel with a spinner or, you know, worm or something? What makes you choose fly fishing?
For me, it's just kind of wanting to try something new. Completely different tactic, more of a finesse tactic.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes it works better. There we go.
There you go.
On the top.
That's on your floater?
Yep, that was
Awesome.
on the grasshopper.
All
there
right.
you go.
First double. You know, sometimes these places, I think a lot of these fish see a lot of different lures. They see a lot of night crawlers, they see a lot of little spinners. And
yeah.
when you change it up a little bit, fly rod, throwing something they haven't seen, I think it really helps your catch percentage out.
Yeah.
This is a great little getaway here in western Oklahoma. It's pretty remote and isolated, so you really feel like you're by yourself. Can kind of get away from the city. Great fishery. This place has a great largemouth bass fishery as well as sunfish and channel catfish. I really enjoy fly fishing for sunfish. It's a technique that's different than what most people are used to.
Especially around here in Oklahoma, most people think fly fishing is pretty much a trout only type deal.
Yeah.
Bass.
Yeah, little bass.
And if you enjoy doing it and think you can only do it in, you know, Mountain State or maybe here in Oklahoma, Lower Illinois or something like that, it's pretty fun. Take it out to a place like this or a farm pond or whatever. Catch some sunfish.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. You know, I think most people, when they think about fly fishing in their mind, they've got a picture of a guy standing in a little stream. Oh, I've got two on, Austin. One on the top and one on the bottom.
There you go.
How about that? I don't know if I can get them in.
It's a pretty good one on top.
Yeah.
There you go.
How about that? Don't do that every day. See, and that's a nice bluegill there. I think we can catch them even bigger.
Yeah.
But that's a great one to start off with. Get him back. This time of year right now, the sunfish are spawning. So it can be a really great time to come out and fish. They're very aggressive. The males are on nests, so they're defending their nests. So when you throw a fly in there, they're pretty aggressive. They'll aggressively bite a bait or bite a fly, and so it's a really fun time, really great time to be out here fishing. Despite the heat, even though it's hot, the fish are out here biting.
We kind of talked about earlier, a lot of people think that fly fishing is a trout only kind of deal. That's kind of where the hype is, but pretty much anything you can fly fish for. I got friends that love to fly fish for carp and buffalo. I don't, but a lot of people enjoy that, but it sure is fun in these kind of smaller lake pond type settings to catch these sunfish. Pretty easy to bite, and it's a real good fight on a 5-weight or even smaller fly rod, and it sure doesn't hurt when you get a hold of a bass every once in a while too. That can be real fun.
You know, a lot of times when you're trout fishing in clear water, if you can see the trout, the game's usually over already. You know, they've spotted you and they don't want to bite. But these sunfish seem to bite a little better. They're not quite as scared. What does a guy have to do to get into fly fishing? I mean, does he have to go buy a really expensive rod, or?
Nah, I mean, if it's something you definitely just want to think you might be interested in but don't want to be super committed, there's a lot of, here's another one. There's a lot of starter kits and things available at any of the sporting goods stores for the most part. Bass Pro, Cabela's, whatever.
Yeah, and you've got a much prettier cast than I do. It seems like I'm tangled up all the time, but I'm still catching fish, so
yeah,
it's not really,
exactly.
You don't have to be a pro, right?
No.
I mean, you just have to have a little patience to get your tangles out of the line. And
yeah, it's, you know, takes a little practice in the yard or whatever, and like you said, just some patience. There you go.
For me, you know, this is a fun way to enjoy catching sunfish again.
Yeah, change it up a little.
You know, change methods, try something new.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of brings the excitement back from when you're a kid catching sunfish.
It does. And like you said earlier, I mean, this is probably one of the easier things to fish for, but just about anything, well, I don't know about paddlefish or something, but just about anything you fish for with a rod and reel, you can use a fly rod for, whether that be out on the lake, sand bass blowing up on the top, or...
Here's one of the things I like too, it's...
whatever.
These small fish, even a fish that big is fun to catch on a fly rod.
I really enjoy the plains, the western part of the state. This is my favorite part of the state to spend time in. And it's pretty unique here at Doc Hollis Lake that we have a pretty solid, clear water, you know. It's unique for this area.
Sometimes I wish it was a little bit closer to home. It is a bit of a drive. We're out here in southwest Oklahoma, kind of in the middle of nowhere. But I think that's one of the things that makes this place so neat. You know, you've got the scenery, you've got the lake here. It kind of feels like you're you're almost in a different state, in a western state sometimes. There's really no cell service to speak of, so we're kind of isolated. There's no real gas station or convenience store close by. It's almost like we've gone on a short little vacation trip somewhere to fish a foreign place to us, but we're still here in the state. That said, you want to make sure you're prepared when you come out here. Make sure you've brought plenty of water, especially now in the summertime. It's pretty hot. That hasn't slowed the fishing down. The fishing's still been pretty good even though it's hot, but make sure you bring water, make sure you bring some food. Let some folks know where you're going before you leave home. Like I said, there's no cell service and it's a bit of a drive. So, well, there's plenty of great fishing opportunities, around Oklahoma City and closer to home. This is a great spot if you're looking for a little getaway, a little vacation, if you will. You can come out for the day or you can come out for the weekend and camp. With the scenery here, in the different setting, it's almost like you've gone out to another state, like you've gone out west somewhere in New Mexico. It's a great short weekend getaway spot that I'd recommend for anybody who just wants to see something a little different than they've seen in Oklahoma and have a great time fishing. Yeah, if you haven't been out here, this is a large area, large WMA, lots of recreational opportunities, hiking, biking, fishing, hunting, whatever's in season. And if you love to fish, come out here. If you don't, you might as well fish while you're out here. And fly rod's just another way to do it, change it up, something interesting to try, and yeah, it's fun. And probably get some water so I don't die of dehydration. It's a little more humid out here than what you would normally expect, I guess. So what I've got here is a hopper dropper setup. This is a grasshopper imitation. I've got this tied onto my my leader. Like I said, that floats. Below that, I've tied another line from the hook of that down here to this little woolly booger. Now this will sink. This is great right now when these sunfish are on beds. This will sink down, and when it gets close, they pretty aggressively strike that.
Sandy Sanders Wildlife Management Area in southwest Oklahoma is a true gem that I hope that you'll take advantage to explore soon. And just as Ryan and Austin mentioned, there's a lot more to do down there than just fishing.
Today we're at Sandy Sanders Wildlife Management Area, located about 25 miles northwest of Mangum. It's a unique area that the department has owned since 1986 when we bought the original piece of property. It's far enough from the bigger population centers in Oklahoma City that it's kind of a well-kept secret down here from most of the population. It's a unique area to the state because the type of vegetation and the terrain around here is much different than what you'll find in any other region of the state. We have the redberry juniper makes up a dominant species around here, and this is one of the few areas in the state that you will find this. Otherwise, it's made up mostly of mesquite grassland, rough, rugged terrain, high mesas, and creeks that used to flow through the area, but the last several years of drought, we haven't done very well on moisture, so being right here by this lake, this particular body of water is pretty unique to the area. We still managed to maintain a very nice wildlife population. We have both white-tailed deer, mule deer, Rio Grande wild turkey. One of the things that limits a bigger number of turkeys being out here, we don't have a very good number of roost trees on the area. There are good numbers of turkeys that roost fairly close to here on private land, and when turkeys break up in the spring, we get birds that move up into the area and make a pretty nice huntable population. This year we have had a larger number of turkey hunters than we have in the past several years, and it seems like everybody's been having pretty good luck. Now we're down here by the Doc Hollis Lake, which was a recent purchase of the department's in 2014, and it's been a really nice addition for the area. The lake, obviously being the key feature in this ranch that we bought, is a really nice fishing area. It has a lot of opportunity for bass, catfish, and bluegill. Everyone seems to be very happy to have a place to fish now because our droughty end of the state here, where fishing opportunity has been very limited here for the past several years, and it's nice to have an opportunity to get out and take the family fishing. We'd like to invite you to come out and see all of the area. It's a vast area now. We just a little under 30,000 acres in the entire area now, so you can come out, look at the hunting opportunities, look at the terrain around here, see what this part of the state is like. Come on out and see us in Southwest Corner.
Recently, we brought you a segment about cooking with Dutch ovens with expert Luann Waters, and it generated a lot of interest from folks wanting to know more. So, as promised, we're now going to revisit Luann and discover the fascinating history behind the Dutch oven.
So besides the enjoyment of the food when you're getting to cook outside, and you actually can cook inside with these Dutch ovens as well, but more fun and handier cooking outside with them, cast iron as we know it today has been around since like 600 or 700 AD. Now, it didn't always look like the ovens we use today. In fact, it was more like the kettles or cauldrons that you'll see. In fact, Shakespeare made sure that cast iron would be remembered, I think, for forever in his play Macbeth, when the witches are talking, you know, at the, can't even remember the quote now, but it's cauldron's bubble is part of it in there. And so it's even a part of literature that we all have to learn. So the ovens like these are referred to, with the ones that have the feet on the bottom, the flat lid, either as woodsman ovens or camp ovens. They've had other nicknames of a baking kettle, a stew pot. I mean, you can find references in historic diaries, but most likely they're probably talking, if they don't say specifically skillet, they're probably talking about a Dutch oven. So colonial times, cast iron was used. Paul Revere's credited with thinking to do the flange on the lid so coals didn't fall off. Who knows for sure? We'll let him have the credit. But so colonial times, Lewis and Clark had Dutch ovens with them. Pioneers moving west, even before them, the mountain men, they would have usually one Dutch ovens to be able to do their cooking in as well. Then as you, from the pioneers moving west, you get into the Civil War. Soldiers sometimes, if not for themselves individually, but as in their camps, would have Dutch ovens for cooking. And then what most people, even if they're not familiar with a Dutch oven, know about is the cattle drives, because the Dutch ovens were the cooking tool that chuck wagon cooks used. When you go and watch chuck wagon gatherings, or like National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum's Chuck Wagon Festival, that's what they're cooking in primarily, is in Dutch ovens. Again, because they can do all that wonderful baking, and it'll hold heat and keep food hot for a while. So it's like its own warming tray as well. But then after that, people that were going to go on camping, hunting, fishing trips, Dutch oven was something to take along. And there were pretty much in the 50s and 1960s, use of Dutch ovens kind of fell by the wayside. People wanted things that were lighter weight, and then for a while we all thought that, you know, Teflon was the wonderful thing. But then people have gone back to cast iron in general, but especially Dutch ovens, since about the 1980s, partly because of its history and its heritage. In fact, cast iron gets referred to as being heritage cookware. Even if you currently don't own any but decide you'd like to start doing this, know that it's not just yourself and the next generation that can enjoy using whatever cast iron you have, but 5, 6, even more generations on, with proper care, they could still be using the cast iron that you buy today. This pot is a good example. This pot was made in the mid to late 1800s. Still gets cooked in, still cooks like a dream. Now, if you happen to have what you know was Great Granny's Dutch oven, ways that you can tell for sure if it's old. First thing is to look at where the bail is attached. Does it look like a number 7 or almost like an ear on it, versus the flat shelf that you see on 20th and 21st century ovens as far as where this bail is attached. The other thing, on old ovens, you'll see usually a line on the bottom, and that is where it's been poured into the mold. So that gives you another indication. Now, just because it doesn't have a name on it, excuse me there for the noise, just because it doesn't have a name on it doesn't mean it's necessarily an old oven, because Lodge Manufacturing, the only still USA made cast iron, didn't start putting their name on their Dutch ovens until in about the mid-1980s, when they realized, hey, we need to advertise so that people know that we're American made. And they make a really good quality. A lot of people are collectors of cast iron. You may have heard of Wagner and Griswold, so there's another whole heritage and collectability with those ovens as well. So heritage cookware makes wonderful tasting food, and if you're a history buff and like to do reenactments, a Dutch oven definitely is something that you'll want to have whatever time period that you're looking at, from 1700s on to today.
So if wide open spaces and tight lines on light rods, campfires, and reconnecting with our heritage are calling your name this summer, well, Oklahoma has the answer. Let us help you discover new adventures waiting for you by connecting with us on social media. For all of us at your Wildlife Department, I'm Todd Craighead, and we'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.